Hey YouTube, this is Corlash1990, and today I have another deck tech for the Sorcery TCG, and this deck is all about the avatar Deathspeaker. And the way that I'm understanding this card, which I'm pretty sure I'm right, otherwise this whole deck wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but basically it has the same thing as most of the other avatars, where it has 20 health, 1 power, and it can tap the other player or draw a sight. But its ability is you may cast 1 dead minion each turn, and for 0 if you're on death's door. And whenever you summon a minion this way, you banish it. So basically, any dead minion you have in your cemetery that has a Genesis ability will get to trigger. So ideally, ideally you'd like to get this guy because then he strikes everything, where he's at. But you play him, does the thing, and then he gets banished. So you get to trigger all the Genesis abilities. So I have a bunch of not a bunch. I have a few amount of good Genesis ability trick. I'm showing that guy like 1,000 times. There we go. Things with Genesis ability to gain card advantage off of your dead minions. And a little side theme I put into this deck is things that can continually being played from your cemetery. Things that can come back, like the zombies or the skeletons or this cool elite card that I have in here. Unfortunately, I only had 1 copy of it. So that is Deathspeaker. I'll put him on camera because he is the avatar that I was wanting the most out of all of them. So I was actually quite happy that I got him in my box. My watch is trying to fall off. All right. So we'll go over the Atlas deck first, and then we'll go over the Spellbook. So to start things off, I'm going to go over all of my Earth locations, and this card is for sure my favorite Atlas artwork. This is just absolutely gorgeous art, and the sleeve and the camera is kind of playing games, but yeah, that is just insane. It provides a Earth threshold, and if you have 3 of them, all minions have burrowing. It's good, but it's also not that great. But again, it's an Earth card that gives you the threshold, and it's unique, so you only need 1 of them, and that just looks amazing. There's instances where this card could be absolutely insane. This deck doesn't really take advantage of that, though. Next, I am playing 3 copies of Quagmire. This site's very good. It has a Genesis ability. Units occupying nearby sites are immobile until your next turn. Your Deathspeaker doesn't really ever move. It doesn't need to unless it absolutely has to due to your opponent coming at it. But basically, it's just going to sit there and just gain advantage. That's ideally what it does. Unlike my other deck, where Pathfinder is frolicking all over the place. These 2 decks are really opposite in that instance. Plus, Quagmire's artwork is insane as well. Yeah, this is a good way to just kind of lock down a unit to then do whatever you need to do to it. Next, I have 3 vantage points. It's ranged units atop this side have +1 range. I am not really taking advantage of that. There's a little the notable extras or the cards that I was going to build around they can abuse that site, but basically it's just giving you the threshold. I'm also playing 3 copies of Holy Ground. It has Genesis. Each nearby avatar heals 3 life, so it's a little way to extend yourself. A little bit of healing's not bad. Always make sure you have an open sight near your avatar, though, and make sure your opponent's avatar is not up in your face when that goes off. So those are all of the Earth ones. Here's all of the air ones plus a non affinity one, but this one's really good. And the other cards I use in my deck really work with this, and it's an elite. So the other version of my deck that I'm thinking of would absolutely run 2 of these. But we have Cloud City. It's a unique site. If you have 3 air, once on your turn, this site may fly to a nearby void, so it can kind of move around, which is pretty cool. I'm assuming the things that are on it will move with it as well. And then I play 2 Observatory as Genesis. Look at the next 3 spells, put them back in any order, so some card fixing. This card's great. And I play 3 Updraft Ridge. Airborne minions atop Updraft Ridge have movement +1. The other version of my deck would take advantage of that. Then, to finish off the air sites, I'm playing 1 of each of the basic towers, basically. Lone Tower, Dark Tower, Gothic Tower. They all have a Genesis ability of, if it's the first version of themselves when they're played, they gain your resource. So some acceleration. These are very good sites. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily run more than one copy of them because after that they're kind of redundant. They don't really give you anything. They don't really do anything. But one of each, I think, is definitely worth it though. And then the final site for the Atlas deck is Bottomless Pit. I absolutely love this card. The artwork is insane. It is so cool, and it's also just a great site. It basically, whenever a non-airborne minion enters this site, you kill it. So there's the other deck I am thinking of. You'd put an airborne minion here, and then there's a card called Grapple that drags things to them. If they don't have airborne, they just fall into the pit. So you're basically grappling dudes and then dropping them in the pit. It's pretty thematic and really awesome, I think, too. So now we'll get into the spell deck, or the spellbook deck, like the actual draw deck. So these first 10 cards are all cards that have Genesis abilities that your avatar can take advantage of after the fact that they've done their thing and then, have then died. So starting things off, we have the wraetannis Titan. I think that's how you pronounce that, but cost 7, 2 threshold for Earth, and it's a 6 power. Genesis, strike each enemy here. So if your opponent is up in your territory and on your lands, you play this, do the thing, they end up answering it and killing it, then you can do the avatar to bring it in. Genesis ability happens and it vanishes. So it's pretty good little removal spell. I think of him as like a removal spell, especially after he's died. Next, I played 2 copies of Miracle Workers. They cost 2, 1 Earth Threshold, 1 power. They have a Genesis ability that you may return a minion that died this turn from your cemetery to your hand. So the things that don't have Genesis, or maybe the things that do, you get double value, and then you can just bring this out, bring something back, and then get rid of it. Very solid. And then these 3, or these 2 cards, 3 copies of each, are pretty identical in that they both have a Genesis ability of drawing you a card. This one draws you a card from your spellbook. This one draws you a card from your site deck. And this one costs 3, 1 threshold for 1. But it's also a spellcaster, which is important. And this one only costs 2, 1 threshold, 1 power, but it is not a spellcaster. So that's like the ideal differences. So you basically just play these to gain card advantage. This one to just bring your stuff back, and then this one's to kind of gain the tempo back if it's kind of getting out of control. So again, these are the combo cards for the avatar. Next is pretty much just everything else, all of your finishers. This deck is mostly minions and less spells, or my other deck is more spells and less-ish minions. So these next couple of minions are your finishers. They're the things that you want to close out the game with. Nightmare being an awesome minion. Again, another one of my favorites that could really fit in the theme with moving your opponent's things around. So this costs 7, has 2 threshold of air, and a 6 power. And it says at the end of your turn, for each enemy minion here, you may push it to an adjacent location or void. So if they don't have void walk, you can just push them off the board and kill them. Or if you're near a bottomless pit, you can push them into the bottomless pit and then just kill them. This card's awesome, and it has 6 power, so it's a pretty beefy unit. Yeah, you definitely want to play 2 of those. Next, which is a card that came in the starter deck, is Nimbus Jinn, also a great card. 6 cost, 2 air threshold, only 4 power. It is airborne though, so it kind of fits in that bottomless pit theme we got going on. You can discard a spell, deal 3 damage to another random unit here. That's pretty good, and I think if it's spell, it's any spellboard or spellbook card, I think. So you can discard your stuff with Genesis if your dude's at death's door, and you can just kind of get their abilities off for free, once per turn, obviously. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that's what that is. Otherwise, it's like you discard like something like a craterize or something. Either way, this dude's great. It's a very good card. Unfortunately, I only opened 1 of these. I would for sure be playing 2 of them here because this card's insane. 5 cost, 2 threshold of air, 4 power. It's a Hounds of ondaros. I don't know. It's something crazy name. It is airborne, burrowing, submerge, void walk, and then things near it permanently lose stealth. So this is like one of the most mobile cards in the game. It can literally do everything. It can't be drowned. It can't be buried alive. It can't be pushed off into the void. It's airborne. It's mobility shenanigans all over the place. I only got one of this too. I would for sure be playing two of these. If you're familiar with Magic, it's like a Nether Shade, Nether Shadow, Trader Shadow kind of a card where it can continually keep coming back. You got 2 cost, 1 threshold, 1 power, can't defend, and it can be cast from your cemetery. So it's just a constant threat that's always there. So I will say this deck is really good at never having wasted turns with resources. You always have something to do, whether it be playing things back from the dead to then draw cards, or to continue playing, threats even if they're small, you're always doing something every turn, which I think is a bonus to this deck. And I play 3 Spire Lich. It goes with our towers. I will say once new cards come out, this one will probably get cut. I'm mainly playing it because this artwork is sick. I really, really like this artwork. I'm really into the dark, like macabre kind of evil artwork, and man, this is just hitting like every little bit of flavor for me. It's just so good. 3 cost, 1 power. If it's on a site that's a tower, it gains +2 power range, so it can attack a little further, and it has spellcaster. So ideally, you want to play this on a tower. Like this card becomes very, very good and cheap for what it can do when it's on a tower. Now, my favorite minion in this deck, and hands down my favorite art in this game. This is like everything. I am really into like messed up, creepy art, and this takes the cake for creepiest, gnarliest, grossest art in this game. That is PUDGE Butcher. It even has a gross name. This card is so good. 4 cost, 2 threshold for Earth, 5 power, which is really good for only a 4 cost. As immobile, so it can't take the basic move action. Basically, wherever you play it, it is stuck there. But here's the cool thing, and I'm going to demonstrate a cool little thing that you can do with PUDGE Butchers. So basically, it can tap, and you shoot a projectile, so a cardinal direction. And if it hits a unit, which includes avatars, you drag them to PUDGE Butcher's site, and then PUDGE Butcher fights them. So here's a cool little scenario you can do, and I called it PUDGE Butcher Ping Pong. Basically, just like imagine them out in a site, right? Avatar is all the way over here. You tap, it drags them here, they fight. This one taps, drags them here, they fight. This one taps, drags it here, they fight. I actually got to do that in a game, and it was the most satisfying thing most satisfying thing ever. I used to play Monster Apocalypse a lot, and it was a game that I was really starting to like, and I was thinking about, starting to get competitive about it, and then certain things with the world happened, and it kind of stopped that whole game for me. This card brought back memories of just double monstering your opponent's monster, like throw them to them, hit some buildings, and then throw it again and just more buildings. That is what this card does, and I love it for that fact alone. I would be playing max copies of this, even if it didn't have the artwork that it has. Just being able to just throw your opponent's things all over the place is just so comical to me. Like, the artwork's gross, the name's gross, the ability's gross, just everything about this card is gross, and I just can't get enough of it. So yeah, PUDGE Butcher, that is where it's at. I cannot explain how much I enjoy playing that card. All right, so next are things that come back for free. You don't pay resources to do them. This one is Scourge Zombies. They're not great value. They're really high costed for their power, but it's the fact that they can keep recurring themselves is great. And as soon as, once there's more cards and more sets for this game, I'm sure these will probably get cycled out for more valuable cards, better things. Basically, you play this dude, and while he's in your cemetery, after he's done his thing and died, if you have a mortal that you control that dies, he gets to come back tapped. So basically, whenever a living thing dies, which is most of your Genesis cards, these get to come back. So it's, again, a reoccurring threat. It might not be much, but being able to recur them over and over again means your opponent has to keep answering them over and over again. And same with Bone Rabble. It's a 3 cost for 1 power. Whenever you play an Earth site, you get to bring them back to that site. So more just overall free recursion. And then to kind of fill out the allies or the minions for the deck, I have 1 Wicked Witch simply because I had this card and the artwork is great. I think the ability is pretty good too, and it's a spellcaster. 4 cost, 2 threshold, 2 power. Spellcaster for Earth, which I do need more of them in this deck. I'm a little light on them outside of the avatar. But it says also other nearby minions have -2 power. That's pretty good. Being able to debuff everything, yeah, not bad. Sign me up for that. So that is all of the minions for the deck. Now we're going to get into all of the like magic cards and stuff. So I played 2 copies of Craterize. This card's great, and I got to play 2 of them in a game, and I actually killed my opponent's avatar with them. It does exactly what you think the card does. When you play it, you destroy a site that you control, and then you blow up another site, and wherever that site is, it does all this damage to everything around it. So anything that's in that site just gets completely annihilated. 2 is probably a bit excessive because it cost 8, but you know, here we are playing 2 of them. This card's great. It hits as hard as the artwork makes it look like it does. Next, I played 2 copies of Bury. It's like Drown. You bury a dude or an artifact at a land site, so it's just cheap removal if they don't have burrowing. So this is just a good card for now. I'm sure this will get cycled out once the cards, you know, are more, once there's more sets and more cards. Played 2 copy of Raise Dead. Cost 4 to summon a random dead minion. I don't know if that's just your cemetery or your opponent's and yours. I've just been playing this card as just mine. So, you know, more free recursion, bringing stuff back. I'm sure there's going to be like a reanimator style deck. I wish there were more ways to discard cards from your hand for reasons like this. But they got to be careful about that, though. That can get a little nuts. That can get a little out of hand. And to fill the deck out, I have just some removal cards. Chain Lightning, it does exactly what you think it does. It shoots a bolt, and you can pay it again to shoot a bolt at something nearby, and then nearby, and then nearby, over and over and over again. This card's great for 2 damage. Yeah, not bad. And then finally, the last card in the deck is Lightning Bolt. Cost 2, does 3 damage to a random unit at target location. This card's great. It's really good. And I'm excited for the like promo version that Team Covenant has. I do like this artwork as well. Yeah, this is cool. So anyway, that is the deck tech. Now for some honorable mentions and some little side tech that you can do, cards that I have been considering. Let me move this really out of the way. There we go. A card with Genesis that I think is good, and it's also a spellcaster, is Grand Master Wizard. The only reason why I'm not playing it is because it's a 6 cost with 0 power. I really wish this had at least 1 power. I'd consider it 100% more if it had some power. But it's a spellcaster, and its Genesis ability is draw 3 spells. So being able to draw 3 cards is really good, seeing you only start with 3 anyway, you know, when you start the game. So this is like draw a new hand. So I'm still toying with the idea on that one. If you want to play Fire, you can play Vile Imp. It has a Genesis ability of deal 2 damage to target adjacent unit. So there's some free damage value off that. If you're playing Water, there's some other cards you can use. Genesis, you draw the bottommost spell. Not bad. This can be summoned to any site. And Genesis, you may return a minion here to its owner's hand. So free bounce value. This card seems very good with Deathspeaker. Again, that's if I'm playing Deathspeaker right. If I'm not, please someone tell me. But I'm almost certain that's how that works. It kind of works like Rowan and Ashes Reborn, if anyone plays that game. And next, for Voidwalky airborne type stuff that works with that one location, wherever it is, I want it out so I can reference it a little bit better. Yeah, Bottomless Pit. These are all cards that work with this. So you can do Peregrine Apparition and Grapple Shot. So you have this over the site. It has airborne, so it doesn't die to it. You grapple shot something, which says an ally shoots a projectile. If it hits a unit, the ally is dragged to that location. You may strike that unit. As long as this is here, you don't need to strike it. You just as long as it doesn't have airborne, you drag it here and it just instantly dies to Bottomless Pit. This is an ordinary card. You can have 4 of this in your deck. That's pretty good. You know, this is an elite card, so you can have 2 of them. So imagine having 2 of them and just positioning yourself and PUDGE butchering things all over the place and dragging things everywhere. Grapple shot. Your opponent's not going to know where the heck any other stuff ever is. It's a lot of uncertainty. Yeah, it seems like a good strategy, in my opinion. There's also Phantom Steed, which is a Void Walk. So you can be out in the Void and grapple shot them in the Void and kill them. Same with Spectral Stalker, Void Walk. Pretty sure Void Walk means they can like go into the Void. And you can just like grapple shot dudes into the Void and like instant kill them. And then for some airborne, decent all-around good cards, you know, airborne and ranged for those other sites that want airborne or ranged things. Blood Ravens gains you health. It's hard to kill against big things. And then this thing is just airborne. It's basic, but it's got +2 movement, so it's really fast. So these are just some other strategies that I have mulling around in the back of my mind for this deck. Really on the fence about this one, but this like grapple shot ability with bottomless pit seems like so much fun. I might end up changing the deck to focus around that as like a sub theme. But anyway, as I get my deck back as it was sprawled out all over the table, yes, that is my Deathspeaker deck. Again, I am very excited for this. If anyone has any hints or like combos or techniques that I am not using, please feel free to let me know down below. Yeah, and with that said, please like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for some more sorcery gameplay, or well, I might try to do some gameplay videos, but definitely deck tech videos and like discussion. I'm gonna try and build a third deck, and I'll put that on here as well with my elementalist, which apparently is like a really valuable card. I did not understand how rare a foil elementalist is. You can't really tell because the lighting is so bad, but it is a foil. There's the full art back. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and again, the current people commenting, I really do appreciate it. I know I say it every video, but I really want to get it through how much I appreciate all of you. It makes this a lot funner for me to do. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.